Nobody saw this coming, not even the cast of Love and Hip Hop. Just when the dust had barely settled from last season's chaos, a bombshell has been dropped that's got the entire reality TV world spinning. Mendeecees, the man fans once rooted. For as a devoted husband and father, has just leaked the real reason he was fired. And let us tell you, it's nothing short of shocking. At first, people thought it was just a contract issue or maybe a quiet exit to avoid more public drama. But nah, this is deeper. We're talking betrayal, secrets, and a behind-the-scenes power move that no one, not even Yandy, saw coming. When Mendeecees decided to break his silence, he didn't just spill tea. He poured a whole pot boiling over. He took to a late-night IG Live with no warning and said 4 words that sent fans into a frenzy. "They set me up. Now, everyone's asking, who's they? Was Yandy involved? What role did Mona Scott really play? And why now? Stick around, because what Mendeecees reveals will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about Love and Hip Hop, and the people behind it." Mendeecees Harris had been quiet for a while. Too quiet. Fans noticed his sudden absence from the latest Love and Hip Hop episodes, but assumed it was just a storyline shift. Maybe a break, maybe family business. But no one expected what came next. One random Tuesday night, he went live on Instagram. No prior warning, no build-up, just a cold, dimly lit room and his voice, low and steady, as he looked into the camera and said, "I wasn't let go. I was pushed out. And now, I'm telling the truth." The comments exploded. Within minutes, over 30,000 people had tuned in, jaws dropped, fingers flying. And what they heard next had everyone completely shook. "They didn't want me there anymore because I knew too much," Mendeecees said. "Because I found out things, real things, about the people who run this show, about cast members, about what they were doing off camera. And they were scared." He didn't say any names at first. He didn't have to. Fans began piecing things together instantly. The timing, the tension, the moments where scenes felt off, edited weirdly, conversations that cut to black too soon. Suddenly, it all made sense. But then, just as everyone was trying to keep up, he dropped the first real bombshell. Y'all remember that trip to Atlanta? The one we filmed but never aired? Yeah. They told us the footage was corrupted. That's what they said. But it wasn't. It was buried. Buried. That word hung in the air like a storm cloud. Mendeecees leaned closer to the camera, his face serious. "I saw what really happened that night. What was said, what was planned. And I told the wrong person. Next thing I know, producers ghosted me. Meetings canceled, calls ignored, then boom, my contract's gone." The live went silent for a few seconds. Even the comments slowed, because everyone watching realized this wasn't just reality TV drama. This was behind-the-scenes sabotage. This was bigger than cheating rumors or reunion fights. This was personal. Then, he mentioned the name that flipped everything upside down. "It was Rich," he said. "Rich told me straight up, 'You need to chill. You're messing with the wrong bag.' And I thought he meant the money. I didn't realize he meant theirs." The chat exploded. Rich Dollaz, the smooth-talking, drama-stirring OG? Why would he threaten Mendeecees? Or was it just a warning? Fans demanded answers. But Mendeecees wasn't finished. He took a deep breath and stared into the camera again. "I'm not saying everyone was involved, but some of them were, and I know because I heard it with my own ears." That's when he pulled out his phone and played a voice memo. It wasn't clear at first, just muffled voices. But then came a female voice, distinct, emotional. If Mendeecees keeps asking questions, we'll make him look crazy. The internet lost its mind. People paused. Rewound? Replayed. Fan pages started analyzing the voice instantly. Some said it sounded like a producer. Others said it was a cast member. Either way, it was damning. Mendeecees shook his head slowly. "You think I'm just gonna sit here and let y'all paint me like I'm the problem? Like I walked away for no reason? Nah, not this time." By this point, multiple blogs had picked it up. Screenshots flooded Twitter. Clips hit TikTok. But while the world reacted, the real tension was building behind the scenes. Because somewhere, someone was watching that live and panicking. Mendeecees wasn't done. He started detailing his final week on set, how he arrived ready to film, but suddenly found security acting different, how his dressing room had been moved, how how his name was no longer on the call sheet. They were phasing me out without saying a word, he said, like I was just gonna disappear. And then he brought up Yandy. His voice got quieter, slower. She didn't know at first. I didn't tell her everything. I thought if I kept it to myself, I could protect her. But when she found out, man, it broke her. He paused again. One night, she asked me straight up, "Why are they doing this?" And I couldn't answer her, because I still don't know the full reason. I just know what I saw. And what? They wanted to hide. Then, as if the weight of it all hit him again, he said the one thing that made even his haters go silent. I think they were trying to break me. And just like that, part one of his story came to an end. But fans weren't. Ready to log off? They wanted more. They needed more. And what he said next made it clear. This was only the beginning. Those words weren't just an emotional release, they were a warning shot. Because the second Mendeecees said, "I think they were trying to break me," you could feel the shift. The chat exploded again. Fans didn't just want the story now, they demanded it. People who had never spoken a word in his defense were suddenly typing in all caps. "Tell your truth, drop the names, we got your back." But Mendeecees just sat there for a moment, quiet, staring into the screen like the silence itself had a story to tell. And then slowly, he nodded. "You know what?" he said. "Let's really talk." And just like that, part two began. "You want to know when I knew it was all falling apart?" he asked. It was the Miami shoot. Now, this wasn't some random background detail. Anyone who followed the franchise knew the Miami shoot was rumored to be chaotic, but the footage never aired. The reunion never mentioned it. Fans just assumed it was shelved. But Mendeecees said what really happened on that shoot was enough to end careers. "Some of y'all fabs did stuff that night that would ruin their brand if it ever got out," he said. "And they knew I saw it. I was right there. I watched it happen." He wouldn't say exactly what he saw. Not yet. But his next line said enough. And when you know something that dangerous, they either buy your silence or they cut you off. He leaned forward. Again, this time closer to the camera. His tone got sharper. "They were building a narrative," he said, trying to make it seem like I was the problem. And while that was happening, he said he watched Yandy break down. "She cried every night," he said, "because they didn't just come for me, they came for us." Fans in the comments were emotional too. Some were crying, some were furious. Others started tagging blogs, demanding coverage, but Mendeecees wasn't done yet, because he said there was one more moment. The final nail in the coffin. That proved it all. "I was on set, mic'd up, ready to shoot a scene with a certain cast member," he said. "But they came in, whispered something to production, and next thing I know, I'm off the call sheet." That cast member, he didn't name them, but the chat lit up with guesses, and Mendeecees just smirked. "They knew I was about to expose everything in that scene," he said, "and they couldn't let it happen." He sat back in his chair, rubbed his face, and for a second, just a second, you could see the exhaustion in his eyes. "I didn't come on here to bash nobody," he said. "I came on here to tell the truth." And then, as the live neared the 1-hour mark, he gave a final warning. "I'm not scared of none of y'all," he said. "You tried to silence me, but I'm still here." And that's where part two ends, with Mendeecees staring into the screen, fearless, while the world watched in silence, waiting for what would come next. There was a stillness in that moment, the kind that feels heavy in your chest. Mendeecees had dropped the truth, exposed the silence, and stood his ground in front of the world. He didn't flinch, didn't walk it back, didn't correct or clarify. Because for the first time in a long time, he was free from the pressure of playing nice. "You tried to silence me," he said again, slower this time. "But I'm still here." Fans were flooding the live with red heart emojis and fire reactions. Some were screen recording, some were already clipping moments for TikTok. And just when it felt like things might calm down, Mendeecees leaned forward and dropped the line that reignited everything. "You want names? Fine." And just like that, it was no longer speculation. The person who told production, "I was a liability," was someone y'all been praising for years. He always smiling, always playing, both sides acting like the peacemaker. But behind closed doors, He was making sure I was replaced. He paused. It was Safari, gasps, disbelief, instant chaos. He pulled producers aside after the reunion last year, told them I was too unpredictable and emotionally unreliable. Mendeecees shook his head slowly, disgust in his eyes. Funny coming from a man who's never stood 10 toes down for anything. But he didn't stop there. And the woman who told me to let it go, the one who said it's just TV, don't make it real, that was Erica. The chat went wild. Fans were stunned. People were screaming in the comments, "Not Erica." "We knew it. This is messy F." Mendeecees looked right at the camera. You can't build a brand on fake loyalty and expect people not to see through it eventually. He started explaining how Erica had been close with Yandy. During filming, pretending to be supportive, even telling her they were a power couple. But behind the scenes, she was part of the machine keeping Mendeecees out. She smiled in my wife's face while handing knives to the people cutting me off. Those weren't just accusations. They were emotional daggers. Because fans remembered how supportive Erica and Yandy seemed on camera, how they hugged on set, how Erica cried during Yandy's anniversary episode. And now Mendeecees was telling them it was all a lie. Then, the mood shifted again. Mendeecees got quiet. His tone softened, and the chat slowed, like everyone could feel what was coming. "I didn't come here to make enemies," he said, "but I can't protect people who tried to destroy me." And that's when he told the story of the last phone call he got from Mona Scott. "She called me a week before filming started," he said. "Told me she loved what I brought to the show. Told me I was one of the real ones." But then she said something else. She said, "Just be cool this season. Don't stir the pot too much. Let us guide the story." At first, Mendeecees thought it was just direction, the kind of thing producers always say. But now, in hindsight, he saw it for what it was, a red flag. They didn't want me to stir the pot because they knew what I was capable of. They knew if I started talking, the whole table would flip. His words hit like thunder, and then came the part that left everyone breathless. "Do you know they offered me hush money?" he said. Dead silence. "Not directly," he continued, "but through someone who works on set. Said if I agreed to take a creative pause, they'd make sure I got paid. Even said they'd circle back next season." He scoffed. "Creative pause? Y'all mean blacklist." The energy was tense. His live had now crossed 75,000 viewers. People were sharing it in group chats, on Discord, on fan pages. Even verified accounts had entered the chat. And then, Yandy joined. Her comment popped, up midstream. "Tell them everything." Mendeecees saw it. His eyes softened for a split second. Then he nodded. "Y'all think I'm doing this alone?" "Nah," he said. "My wife behind me 10 toes. She lost deals over this too. Y'all don't even know." He started explaining how brands pulled out of campaigns once he was labeled uncooperative, how their couple's podcast got shadow banned, how one of Yandy's beauty sponsors paused their partnership after the rumors began. "We ain't just lose a show. We lost money, relationships, peace." But the moment that brought fans to literal tears, when he described how their son asked, "Dad, are we in trouble?" His voice cracked for the first time. "I told him no," he said. But I didn't believe it myself. The comments were filled with crying emojis, support messages, and even celebrities backing him. A few known bloggers started posting clips in real time, and just when you thought it couldn't go any deeper, it did. "They wanted me out because I refused to be controlled," he said. "They offered me a storyline that wasn't even real, wanted me to pretend to have a secret baby." He looked dead into the lens. "Imagine being a father, a husband, and they ask you to fake a scandal just for views." He shook his head. I said no. And that's when everything changed. The room felt heavy, like the weight of all he'd held in for months was finally lifting. He exhaled. "This ain't about clout, it's about clearing my name. For me, for Yandy, for my kids." The camera zoomed slightly as he leaned closer again. "They're gonna be mad I said all this. But let them be mad." And that's when he pulled out a manila folder. Next live, I'm showing the contracts, the edits, the real emails. The crowd in the comments lost it. People started typing "Part 2" and "We need those receipts" like wildfire. But Mendeecees just smiled. "Truth don't need a filter," he said, and I got plenty more where that came from. And with that, Part 3 came to a close. The screen faded, the live ended, But the internet? It stayed lit. When the screen went black, there was a 3-second silence across the internet. And then the explosion hit. Reels, TikToks, reaction videos, and reposts flooded every timeline imaginable. Twitter threads popped up within minutes, breaking down every word Mendeecees said. Bloggers went live instantly, debating whether the documents he promised to show next were even real. But most people weren't doubting him. No, most people were waiting, reloading, refreshing, praying for that next notification. Mendeecees is live. Again, because now, it wasn't just about gossip, it was about receipts. And he delivered. The very next night, same low light, same serious energy, he went live again. This time, though, he was holding that manila folder in his hand. From the jump, y'all ready? He asked. Because once I show this, there's no going back. He opened the folder slowly and pulled out what looked like a shooting schedule. Fans leaned in through their screens like they could smell the paper. He held it up and pointed to a highlighted section. "Look right here," he said. "This was the day they said I no-showed. But look, I was scheduled to shoot at 2 p.m., and the shoot was moved to 9 a.m. without notice. They never called me, never texted me." He then flipped the page. And this is the email thread where my agent asked for clarification. Look, at the reply, he zoomed in, and sure enough, there it was. "Due to creative direction adjustments, we have decided to move forward with alternate storylines. Thank you for understanding." His voice was steady, but tight. "Alternate storylines," he repeated. "That's how they fire you without saying the word fired." The chat went crazy. "They played you. This is wild. Alternate storyline. You gone?" But that wasn't even the worst of it. He pulled out a red-marked edit sheet and said, "This right here, this is how they chop my scenes." He explained how entire conversations were cut mid-sentence, how one emotional moment with Yandy, where they talked about post-prison anxiety, was edited down to 10 seconds of awkward silence and a fake argument overlaid with dramatic music. "They made me look like I didn't care," he said. "Like, I wasn't present. But y'all don't know what they left out." He tapped the paper again. "The real me. The real moments." And then, for the first time, he brought in someone else live. Yandy. She joined the stream with no makeup, wrapped in a hoodie, hair tied up. Not glammed out, not scripted, just raw. And hurt. "I didn't want to do this," she said softly. "But they left us no choice. She confirmed everything. The call sheets, the emails, the breakdown, the fake arguments, the forced storylines, even the emotional manipulation. "They wanted to film me crying in the kitchen," she said, but wouldn't explain what scene they were cutting to. "They just told me, be emotional, so they could use it however they wanted." And then she said the one thing that had fans holding their breath. One of the producers told me off camera, "We'll make him the villain, but don't worry, he'll bounce back." Mendeecees looked away. His jaw clenched. He had never told that part before, not even during the first live. "You said you were protecting me?" he whispered to her. "I was," she said, "but they already had the script written." The comments were full of people crying, reposting, tagging the network. The hashtag #JusticeForMendeecees started trending within 20 minutes. But then came the unexpected twist. A former crew member, anonymous, but verified, sent in a DM that Mendeecees read aloud. "Hey, I worked on season 10. I saw the storyline board. They knew they were cutting you months before they told your team. They had already drafted a replacement." Fans were stunned. Who was the replacement? Who was set to take Mendeecees' slot? And then, boom, he said it. Fresher. Gasps, fire emojis, pure chaos. They were grooming him to be the new reliable husband character. Mendeecees said. "The calm one, the man who balances the chaos." Yandy nodded. They were nice to him, overly nice, inviting him to production dinners, giving him updates on shooting before anyone else got them. And that's when the live took a sharp turn. Mendeecees pulled up a photo of a document, an NDA. They asked me to sign this, told me it was standard. But look right here. He pointed to a clause. "Participant agrees not to disclose production discrepancies or internal creative adjustments under penalty of removal from the cast and future eligibility." He let the chat read it slowly. Basically, if I told the year set truth, I'd never work in reality TV again. But then he smiled. A different kind of smile. The smile of someone who knows he has more power than they thought. Good thing I ain't trying to go back. He flipped one last page. A handwritten note. It wasn't from production. It was from a friend who used to work there, who left. When things got too dirty, it said, "They're afraid of your story. They can control the show, but not the truth." Mendeecees looked directly into the camera. You can cancel contracts, edit clips, silence moments, but you can't erase facts. Fans were in a frenzy. People were tagging media outlets. One blog even posted a statement from a source close to production, claiming Mendeecees was disgruntled and misleading. Fans? But at this point, nobody was buying it, because this didn't feel like clout chasing. This felt like war. And right before ending the live, Mendeecees said one final thing. Next episode, I'm gonna show y'all the clip they didn't air. The one they said was corrupted. I got the raw file. And with that, the live cut off. Not glitchy. Not disconnected. Clean. Intentional. Powerful. Part 4 didn't end with a bang. It ended with silence. The kind of silence that feels loud. Nobody slept that night. People stayed glued to their screens, phones on loud, fingers hovering over the refresh button. Across social media, hashtags like #NotMendeecees raw clip, #Nunfiltered truth, and They Dried Tora Seeheim trended worldwide. Fans weren't just curious anymore, they were invested. This had become bigger than one man's career. This was now about exposing a system. When Mendeecees went live the next evening, the viewership jumped to over 100K in under 5 minutes. Even verified celebrities joined silently. No one was commenting wild, no jokes, just attention, locked in. He didn't start with a speech this time. He didn't even speak at all. He uploaded the file. The screen cut to a raw, unedited video, handheld, slightly shaky, the kind of footage you know isn't meant to be seen. It was from that infamous Miami shoot, the one producers claimed was lost due to technical issues. But the quality was perfect, and what it showed was anything but staged. In the clip, Mendeecees is sitting on a couch, talking directly. To camera, clearly emotional. "This ain't for ratings," he says in the footage. "This is real life. I've been dealing with anxiety, doubt, pressure, and nobody checks on me unless it's about the storyline." You hear a producer off camera say, "Can we go again? But say it with less emotion? Make it more neutral." He looks off, blinks, and says quietly, "This is how I feel." The producer insists, "Yeah, but let's keep it surface. Don't get too deep, just hit the beats." Fans watching the live were stunned. This wasn't a scene gone wrong. This was real vulnerability, denied and discarded. The next part of the clip shows Yandy joining him. She reaches for his hand. They're whispering, talking about parenting, prison trauma, real stuff. But then a cut happens. The producer says, "We're gonna steer this back to the cheating rumor. It's hotter. We don't need all the therapy stuff." Mendeecees' voice cracks in the raw footage. But that's not our story right now. They cut the camera, and just like that, truth erased. The clip ended. Mendeecees reappeared on live, his face calm, but his eyes heavier. "You saw it," he said. "They filmed it, then cut it, said it didn't matter." Fans were furious. Comments exploded with support. Other cast members even began speaking out. A surprising one? Kimbella. She posted on her story, "I saw that moment. It was powerful. They made us reshoot fake drama right after. That's when I knew this show wasn't real anymore." Even Joe Budden tweeted, "Reality TV ain't real if the truth gets buried. Respect to Mendeecees." But not everyone stayed quiet. A source close to production leaked a statement anonymously, claiming Mendeecees signed off on all edits and footage usage, and was now attempting to damage the show's reputation due to unresolved contract disputes. Mendeecees responded live, "Signed off? I signed off thinking y'all had integrity." He pulled up an email chain between his manager and the editing team. One message stood out. "We are leaning more into dramatic beats this season. Real-time emotion has been reviewed but deprioritized." He looked straight into the camera. They deprioritized humanity. Fans started calling for boycotts. Some said they wouldn't watch another season. Others demanded that producers release the rest of the raw footage. And through it all, Mendeecees stayed composed. "I'm not trying to cancel nobody," he said. "I just want people to see how the machine works, how they twist you, turn you into something you're not." But then, came the final twist. A fan account leaked a text allegedly from a producer to another cast member saying, "We're glad Mendeecees is out. Too unpredictable. Not brand safe." The phrase, "not brand safe," sent waves across the internet. What does that even mean? Since when is authenticity a threat? Mendeecees rated aloud. "Not brand safe," he repeated. "Y'all use my real trauma for views, but I'm not safe because I didn't cry on cue?" The hypocrisy was on full display now. But Mendeecees didn't want revenge. He wanted closure. So he ended the live with a final message. "I'm not broken. I'm not bitter. I'm just not playing by your rules anymore." He took a breath, then dropped one last piece. "Me and Yandy, we're producing our own docuseries. Full control. Real stories. No edits, no scripts." Fans went wild. He smiled. "If you really want to know us, uncut, unfiltered, you'll see." Then the screen faded to black. Not with a mic drop, not with a yell, but with dignity. Just a man and his truth. A truth that couldn't be buried any longer. So now you've seen it all. The truth Mendeecees fought to protect, the lies they tried to bury, and the raw footage they said was corrupted that turned out to be the most honest moment ever captured on camera. What started as rumors and silence turned into a full-blown exposé, one that pulled back the curtain on the very machine that millions tune into every single week. You heard his words, you saw the receipts, the contracts, the edits, the gaslighting, the manipulation. You watched as Yandy stood by him even when the cost was too high. And now you know, this wasn't about a paycheck or screen time. This was about being erased and fighting your way back. But here's the thing, this story isn't over. Because while producers scramble behind closed doors and fans demand accountability, Mendeecees and Yandy are moving forward. Unfiltered, unedited, on their own terms. So what do you think? Should the network respond publicly? Should other cast members speak up next? And most importantly, would you watch a fully independent reality show where the cast controls the narrative? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Seriously, we want to know what you think. Make sure to hit that like button if you support Mendeecees finally speaking out. Subscribe so you don't miss what happens next, because this story, it's far from done. And trust us, when part 2 drops, you're gonna want front row seats. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.